Flipping Fridays.
And phone number, my name and last name.
What's up, Facebook? We are back.
Are we live?
Oh, we're live. We're live. Live and in effect.
I haven't got my notification yet, so we'll see.
Man, we haven't ran music in the beginning for a while. I guess that's just when it's you and me, huh?
Oh, you were the DJ. Yeah, you're the one who normally started the music and shit. So there we go. I got the video, so we are good to go.
Oh, shit.
All right, guys. So we are the AZ Flip guys. Oh, man.
We got our beers this time.
Yes, we got actually.
Man, we're living the life.
Beers. We came in and he was like, "Hey, you want something to drink? Yeah, you want some water, some beer?" You know, he just threw it out nonchalantly, like, "Oh yeah, you know, we got a fucking keg."
People don't drink on Fridays.
As we used to say, it's Friday. You hate your job and you ain't got shit to do. So let's have a beer and let's do a little bit of thing. Now, this is not the first time we've had alcohol on the show.
Oh, no, not at all, man. Last time I got really fucked. Remember that one time I was drinking straight rum? I don't even remember what episode that was. Sometimes it happens, you know. That's the joy of joining the AZ Flip Guys, is you never know what's going to happen. And that's why we do a live show.
Yeah.
So anyway, we are the AZ Flip Guys. We're just two ordinary guys doing extraordinary things, talking about real estate, mindset, and everything in between. That is Cashflow Kris. I am Cashflow Creator, and we are excited to come into you with episode number 89. And as I was saying, the best thing about the AZ Flip Guys is that you never know what the fuck is going on. You never know who the fuck's going to join us. You never know who's going to comment. You never know who's going to ask questions. Most of the time we have a topic in mind, but normally a lot of the conversations are dictated by the audience. So speaking of the audience, we got Johnny Sanchez in the house.
Yo.
Saying, "What's up, guys?" Hey, what's up, Johnny? We got David Plata joining us. He says, "Well, say, guys, hey, David, thank you for joining us." We got Gray Cook. What's up, brother?
What up, Gray Cook? They're from Florida.
We got JD, the mentor, here in the house. I'm not even going to call your dog because them motherfuckers going to start jumping on me right now.
Tell him front.
Yep. We got Jordan in the house. We got Armando Gloria. Good afternoon, brothers. Hey, thank you for joining us, X. Guys, so we are excited today. We're going to be talking about one of the things that I think is probably going to be most beneficial for a lot of you. A lot of times we come to the AZ Flip Guys, most people that watch the AZ Flip Guys, most people that interact with the AZ Flip Guys are either wholesalers, wannabe wholesalers, flippers, wannabe flippers, or maybe sometimes multifamily or want to get into multifamily. It falls into that realm. And the majority of the times, and we've said this over and over and over, that we highly suggest any of you newbies out there to start with wholesaling. Because wholesaling is going to let you come in with the least amount of money, the least amount of risk, relatively speaking, and you're also going to have the most potential for profit on the back end without falling and, basically losing your ass. However, with most people, when they come to wholesaling, they only look at deals one or two ways, so it kind of leaves them stuck, and if it doesn't fit into their little box, they're not able to do a deal anymore, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. So, you know what? Before we get into it, man, I had a great fucking talk yesterday at the Kingdom. I had a great talk, man. So for you guys that don't know, I've been fucking traveling. I've been speaking. I got a chance to talk at the Kingdom Connect. And if you guys are not part of Kingdom Real Estate, make sure you check it out. I don't even know what to call it, man. It's just a family, really, of just people, individuals, and all different levels that are really into personal development. They're into creating freedom, and most of the time it has to do with real estate, but not all. So I was in there, and I said, "Hey, guys, I'm going to go in there, and I want to share some value, and I want to go in and talk about the mindset. I want to go and talk about personal development for at least an hour or so." And we ran the show for about an hour and 20 minutes. And we had just a tremendous feedback, tremendous participation, and we got into some deep dive shit. So if you guys are part of the Kingdom Real Estate, go back on the thread and check out my live video from yesterday. It's about an hour and 20 minutes, but man, I go in. I tell you guys not only what the law of attraction is, but how to fucking use it and how you've been using it this whole time, how to activate it to get the shit that you want in your life. I talk about the process of manifestation. The thoughts create your feelings lead to your actions, and your actions will lead to your results. And then I talk about the 4 steps of permanent change, and I go deep into that. So anyway, let me see, who do we got in the house? We got Jordan, we got Gray Cook saying, "What's up?" If you guys don't know, Gray Cook is over in Central Florida. He's one of our most loyal followers, listeners, audience members. And if you guys are listening to this on Podcast World, make sure you download this episode. Make sure you give us a 5-star review and make sure that you share this with your friends. We're not selling anything. We're not pitching anything. We don't have any programs. We don't have anything other than just value to give to you. And if you guys want to join us live, like we have Sonia in the house who's saying, "What's up, fellas?"
Sonia, you like my shirt?
Oh shit!
Oh, swag. Sonia's the official
girl, man.
girl.
Yeah, man, she's our girl, and she's been going to the 2% Club consistently.
Mindset. See, that's why I'm so glad you do that kind of shit, man. Because nobody talks about mindset for the most part, and then they certainly don't dive into it. You know, they talk about how you need to know your why and this and that, but
they're very superficial with it. And a lot of times it's like being conscious. It's like being woke. You know, hey JD, you know, yeah, fucking being woke in our community, right? All these fucking woke motherfuckers. It's just it's the popular thing to say at this particular time for business. Oh, well, you know, I do personal development. Yeah, I've read Think and Grow Rich. Yeah, but if you don't fucking really, really study and dive deep into it, it's not going to mean shit. But if you guys are listening to us on Podcast Land and you want to join us live every single Friday, AZ Flip Guys, noon Arizona time, you can find us on facebook.com/AZ Flip Guys. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. And more than that, make sure that you join us live so you can ask questions. So before I move further along, I'm going to let our guest here introduce himself. Bet you. I'm sure we're friends on Facebook. I know a lot of fucking people everywhere. I do a lot of networking. A lot of people know me, but I know that you know my business partner, Chris.
Very well.
I know that you guys are part of this of a accountability group. Correct. And I know for a fact, you know, from talking to Chris, that he holds you in very high regard. So why don't you introduce yourself? Let everybody know who you are, and we can start talking a little bit about what we're here.
Yeah, Zach Oehlman. I've been an investor for about 7 years, and my background was valuation consulting. So if it can create a cash flow, I can value it. Learned a lot from that, but I always wanted to own my own business, and I never knew how to do that. I knew how to work for somebody else. So the personal development was a huge aspect into getting to where I'm at today, and it's still a big proponent of what I use. I've done everything from single-family rentals, multi-family rentals, single-family flips, multifamily flips, Airbnb, contract for deed, lease options, subject to, and that's what I really wanted to talk today about. Is we have a community, and I always talk to people. They bring me what I'll refer to it as a property, and I look at the numbers and I go, it's not a deal, it's a property. However, if you structure it correctly, it has the potential to be a deal and either make upfront cash or cash flow on a monthly basis. And I think that's the more tools you have in your tool belt, the more powerful you can be.
So slow down there, Pony. We're going to get to that eventually. I know you're excited. I can tell you're excited.
The one thing that we always forget is we go so fast, and we fucking are talking up here, and a lot of our audience is like, "What in the fuck are they talking about?"
And that's probably one of the things that we've learned the most. I've learned it from myself. I learned it from Chris, but then we've learned it from our from our members, from our people that we're interviewing. A lot of times we've been doing this for so long, or it's just so natural to us. We've been doing this for so many years. Just, this is all we do. This is all we talk about. This is all we fucking around. All of our friends do this shit. Everybody all of our conversations are based this way. So people that are not in that level yet, they may not understand. A lot of things you may be saying kind of go over their head. So before we get even started on that aspect, why don't you tell everybody what you were doing before you started in real estate, and then how you got into real estate?
So before I was in real estate, I was, like I said, a very high-end financial consultant in Chicago, and I was doing work, buying businesses, selling businesses, expert witnesses. So when somebody sues you for $100 million, you have to quantify that. And so I would be the guy that would quantify that. If you want to buy a business, you got to quantify that. If right before I left, I valued all the software for all the major railroads. It was like $12 billion worth of software.
So what was your official title?
How the hell do you
valuation consultant?
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would evaluate different businesses or different aspects of the business, or
different assets.
Assets. Okay.
So copyright, like a copyright has a value.
Yeah, of course.
Humans have value at a certain. So if it can.
All right, guys. So let me help you. Let me help you out real quick. All right. So basically, what he's saying is, you got a big company. A big company's got a lot of different portions to it. Let's take McDonald's, for example. McDonald's has a lot of different portions. Their copyright, which is what they use for their ads and shit, that has a particular value. With a company that big, they have so much copyright that holds a certain amount of wealth. Well, Zach was in here. They would hire him and say, hey, we need you to evaluate this particular aspect of the business. So you were talking about the software, whether it be the people, whether it be the equipment, whatever the stuff else they were using that they could hold value. You would be evaluating different things.
Right, or the entire business.
Okay, perfect. So once you did that, how long were you doing that for?
4 years.
Okay, and when did you decide that you wanted to? When did you get the itch for real estate? Because it doesn't just happen overnight. It always starts with a little fucking something that you see, a word, a friend said something, you saw a post on Facebook, something happens.
HGTV show,
yep,
right?
HGTV
That's
show.
how I got into flipping. Is like I saw all these flip this house shows. I'm like, that looks cool, man.
And then you started hearing it in the back of your mind, and then eventually starts getting louder and louder, and eventually take a action. But when did you first come across the concept of real estate and real estate investing as a whole?
I was like 27 years old, and the reason I got into real estate is I wanted to buy my own business.
Okay.
But no one would give me any money because it was an intangible idea. Right. These capital, it was very hard for me to get money. I didn't understand how to raise money at the time. And it was just me. And then I started hanging around other investors, and I saw them no credit, no income. Like they didn't really care as long as the asset they were lending on was good. So I saw a way to make money and start a business without going through a bunch of loopholes and all this to raise capital. So that's why I got into it.
Okay, so you basically you were looking to start a business that was not real estate related.
Correct.
You then started realizing that it's really hard to get people to lend you money on an idea.
Correct.
It's a lot easier to get people to lend you money on an asset.
Correct.
A physical asset that people can touch and feel and whatever else.
Correct.
Now that doesn't mean that there's not people that lend on ideas. It's just a lot harder to do that.
Yeah.
As you started networking, which is what we talk about all the fucking time, guys, networking. As you started networking, you realize, hey, man, these people over here, they're raising money all the time. They don't have any credit. They don't have anything on the line. They just have a good asset to base that loan off of, right?
Right.
And you decide for them the light bulb. But speaking of the light bulbs, man, I wish you guys could see these fucking big old light bulb things. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could take a picture of that. So anyway, before we move on with your story, we got Johnny Sanchez over here saying we've been following you, bro. Your talks are raw as fuck, mixed with a ton of value. We appreciate it. What we call here is we call this edutainment. Okay, we're here to talk shit. We're here to have fun, but we're also going to be with a lot of good information. And one of the things that we specialize in here with the AZ Flip guys is that we really try to add value as much as possible. So we're not here trying to sell you anything. We're not trying to promote bullshit. We're not trying to be like, hey, well, I heard of that guy. I met him at a meeting one time. Let me come have him speak on the show. No, we really try to know the people that we have on the show, and we believe that they're actually adding value. We got Johnny Sanchez over here who says visualization is key. Josh Castro, Abraham Hicks on YouTube, great for a law of attraction. Yes, and if you guys have not checked out Abraham Hicks, Esther and Abraham Hicks, that is one of the craziest, most in-depth versions on the law of attraction that you can find ever. The lady goes balls to the fucking walls with this shit, man. I mean, she makes me look like a total fucking newbie. Definitely, highly make sure you check it out. Esther and Abraham Hicks on YouTube. Johnny Sanchez is asking, can anyone attend the 2% Club? Yes, absolutely, yes. And Zach, we would love to see you at the 2% Club.
You gotta
I'm sure fucking Chris has told you about the 2% Club, which for you guys that don't know, for you guys that are listening on a podcast, for you guys that are rewatching the replay, for you guys that are watching on YouTube, or for you guys that are watching live, if you guys are in the Phoenix area, every Tuesday morning, my mentor Jeff Hagan leads a class called Phoenix 2% Club, where we go over the book Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. He doesn't sell anything. He doesn't pitch anything. He's just an old Jewish fucking accountant, that millionaire who just wants to give back. And this is his way of giving back and training. And it's just an amazing experience. I've been going there fucking faithfully every Tuesday for the last 8 years when I'm in town. And it's just been an amazing transformation. So Johnny, I would love to see you over there.
Jeff's always like, can you stop calling me an old Jewish man?
You're fucking 65. Like, what do you want me to say? Remember that I did that speech over at Secret Knock, and I'm like, yeah, he's just like this short little old Jewish man. And he's like, can you not refer to me as that?
You're Yoda, man. You're Yoda.
So Johnny says he definitely wants to attend. obviously make sure that you join us. We got Sienna Farnsworth, we got Joseph, we got Manuel Ariano joining us over here. So you said that you moved into real estate because you saw the opportunity. And one of the things that I refer to people all the time is that I believe in taking the path of water, and that's the path of least resistance. Like, I don't understand when people just beat their fucking heads against the wall and say, I'm going to force this and I'm going to make it. Because, yeah, you may be able to, but the time and effort that it takes is just kind of a pain in the ass. I have this plaque that says, learn from the mistakes of others because you don't have enough time to make them all yourself.
Right.
And I think that's what you did.
We're getting
you
closer.
realized that somebody was doing something. He said, hey, I want to raise capital for a business. It's not going as I planned, but these guys over here, they're able to do it. Let me look at what they're doing.
Right.
And before I continue, guys, this is what we always talk about, networking, because you don't know what you don't know. He didn't know that you could raise money with no credit or no experience just by having the right asset. Once he found that out, he was like, oh, shit, man, let me go check this out. This is a little bit more interesting.
Everything.
So you came across that concept. How did you actually take that idea and actually turn it into a plan and move it to your first property, your first deal?
I started hanging around people that were actually doing it.
Okay.
Every week, I was working as a consultant 60 to 100 hours a week. And
Can you say the first part again? Because I don't think, just in case people didn't hear you,
which part's that?
the part of the sentence you just said, you hung around.
Oh, I hung around people that were doing
That
deals.
were actually doing deals. Oh my God, what a fucking concept!
So when I first got started, I'd go to meetups and all these other places, and I was frustrated because no one was doing deals. I started in Illinois, and they just wanted to talk about it. And I'm like, well, let's go do something.
Right.
And they're like, whoa, Gipper.
Right? Yeah, no, whoa. I'm not trying to do all that.
Whoa, Gipper. And they would sit there and conceptualize it.
Mhm.
And, so that didn't work. And I shuffled around until I found a group of people that were actually doing something. And then what I did is I got committed. I quit my consulting job and took a job where I could work 40 hours a week so that way I could spend more time with them. And I was driving 200 miles round trip every Thursday to attend the groups, and same thing every other Saturday just to be around the people.
Nice.
Because my mentor said, he said, you're a product of the 5 closest people you hang around. And I looked at not that the people I was hanging around originally were bad people, they're still my best friends. We were just headed down a different path.
It's just not where you wanted to go.
Right.
And guys, so I want to touch on a few things that you just said. First of all, it's the 5 people that you hang around with most of the time. A lot of times people don't like that because it makes them feel a certain type of way. When they look at their spouse, their husband, their wife, their coworker, their best friend, their mom, their sister, whoever the fuck they spend the majority of the time, and they say, oh, whoa, I'm supposed to not talk to them? What, do I think I'm better than them? It makes people feel a certain type of way, where in reality, that's not what it is. It's just, I'm looking to go over there.
Right.
You're over here.
Right.
I mean, it's not that here is bad. It's just that's not where I'm looking.
It's like you want to play baseball, I want to play football.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I need to listen to the football player, right? I
Right.
need to listen to the football coach.
Mhm.
I need to hang around the people that were there. Now, one of the things that I tell people all the time is find a way to hang around people in the business that are actively doing it.
Right.
People that are successfully doing it. Because so many motherfuckers out there are constantly talking about one day having goals and ambitions to do this or that. Hey, JD, how many people did you know growing up that said, one day I'm going to own a club. I'm going to own this. Too many. We're going to start a fucking recording studio or some stupid shit like that. Just dumbass fucking ideas with everybody in this fucking circle talking about their dumbass ideas has never taken an action on it. You ended up in a group like that and said, man, this is not where I want to be. I need to be around people that are actively doing it. And then you switch your schedule so it can accommodate to what you wanted to do.
Right.
You switch, and so many people. We were on a show last week, and we were talking about door knocking with Lisa and Daniel. And some guy was like, well, what about time? Like, I don't have time. I go to work. Motherfucker, you can reschedule your shit if you really want to. You can, they were like, you can door knock in the evening time. You can door knock on the weekends. Like, that shit was just an excuse. But you said, how can I reshuffle my schedule where I can still get my work done, but be able to hang around these people the most amount of time, right?
Right.
So as you started hanging around those people, what happened?
They're busy and and they have a lot of people that want their time. So I said, how can I be of value to them, right? And so they just said, find me houses and that meet these parameters. It was a simple formula. I would just find them and then
AKA, you know what that means? Make me fucking money.
Right.
Guys, nobody does nothing for free in this industry. And all you motherfuckers that think that that's fucked up, fuck you. Because you wouldn't do shit for free in this industry if it took you all that time and effort to get to where you're at right now. Where everybody, as you said, everybody wants your attention. Everybody wants your knowledge. Everybody's like, give me, show me. Fuck you. Seriously. We got people in the watch party over here. We got Thomas Fritz. We got William Bonnell. Hey, Will, man. Thank you for joining us here.
Mr. Rhino. Boom. That's what I got out of your speech. I don't know if he had a lot of content, but the Rhino dick is what I resonated with.
This guy got up on stage and he's like, I'm the handsomest motherfucker on earth, and I got a big old Rhino dick. And that's literally how he started his speech.
attention grabber.
Nonetheless, though, be around the people that you want to be who are actively doing it. You know, I can make fun of Will and everything, and definitely an attention grabber. But this guy has, a few apartment complexes that are cash flowing. He does deals whenever the fuck he wants to. Most of the time, he just wants to fuck off and be on the beach and chill with girls and fucking smoke weed and do psychedelics and get drunk and get divorced and everything else. But he's still actively doing it.
Right.
That's a whole lot better than all these people over here that are constantly just wasting time. So you said, hey, man, I know that your time is valuable. How can I add value to your time?
Right.
And they told you, bring me deals, which is basically make me money.
Right.
Go find a way to make money. Now, did they pay you for the work that you did? Or they said, hey, man, we're going to pay you $10 an hour,
Nope.
Fucking fill in your time card at the end of the week.
No.
And, we'll refill your gas and in your food and everything else.
No.
Absolutely not.
So I pay for my own gas. I'd sit there and just look at the computer until my eyes bled, and then go out and look at the properties. And then if I thought I found something that was halfway decent, I would let him know. And then they would walk it, and then that's where the training would come in.
Of course.
Look at this, look at that.
Man.
Yes, no,
and
yes,
that's
no.
huge. So many people don't even pay attention during those. Like, I want to know everything. What are you looking at?
Right.
Why are you looking at that?
And guys, this goes back to the power of working for free. Jordan, fucking make a note of this, or Cyrus, make a note of this. I'm about to go on a tangent right here.
Markers.
So right over here, right
Tag
marker,
Cyrus
right,
and right marker.
On the comments.
Well,
right
now
marker.
the fucking pressure's on, because now it better be good.
It is gonna be fucking good. So once again, guys, I'm gonna give it credit where credit is due. Behind the cameras, you cannot see this man, Mr. JD, the intern.
Woo-hoo.
We had made a Facebook post. Not even a Facebook post. We did an AZ Flip Guy show. He happened to come on the show. I don't know how the fuck he found us, but he found us, and he was on the audience. And I was ranting and raving about how all you motherfuckers are full of shit, and we need an actual intern. And if anybody's willing to be an intern, then not only would we teach them, but we would actually be willing to pay them something. It wasn't going to be a lot, but it was going to be something. JD came and said, you know what? I don't want anything. You guys don't pay me anything. I just want to learn. And then he showed up time after time after time after time after time. Now, it's not like he didn't make any fucking money. But he didn't charge us for his time. He wanted the knowledge. He wanted the experience. He wanted the opportunity to get closer to us so then he can start doing deals. If I remember correctly, he lent you some money, or he brought you some money for a deal or two, right, Chris?
Sure did.
At some point. So he was able to make some money himself.
My business partner now.
Yeah, exactly. And then they moved into being business partners. So now the new developments, the new builds that Chris is doing, JD is part of that company, part of that business, part of that partnership. He leveraged that by working for free. All you fucking dumb motherfuckers out there come and say, I want to do this. I want to make the $20,000 checks. Right. I want to do that. And then you say, hey, man, well, here's what you do. Go knock on all these doors. Well, but who's going to pay me? Like, who's going to cover my gas? And motherfucker, you work for free. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you guys one thing, and it's going to be probably the most honest thing that I have ever told you motherfuckers. You're either going to pay for it one way or the other. You're going to pay for it with time and effort and money wasted and everything else, or you're going to fucking hire a mentor, and they're going to walk you through it. There's no way around it. You're going to pay for it one way or the other. And Zach decided, you know what? I'm going to pay for it by doing what this guy tells me, by going out there and finding him deals. So we got Sonia Ray over here who's telling Johnny that she's going to DM him the address. So Johnny says he's going to be there on Tuesday. Motherfucker, if you're not there, I'm going to personally call you out next Friday. And I have a memory like an elephant, so you don't want to fuck with that.
Over here in this watch party, we got Sally. What up, Nick?
Shit. We got Sally.
We got Matthew. We got Dan Faraday from our accountability group. What's up, Dan? We
Nice,
got Michelle Ray and Rich Lopez. Rich, we got to get your guy on our show.
Yes, and we got to go shooting, Rich. I got to take some of your guns out, bro. Now you told me that you fucked up. You told me that you had that membership to the gun rage, so now let's go shoot some shit.
Oh, I bet you got some shit too.
A toast over here to Will, loving our comments. We got Nadine, who was our house guest over in Dallas. Nadine and Mike, thank you for joining us.
Nadine, the queen of North Carolina.
Yes. So we got Sonia over here. She says, and if you can't network in person, at least do it online. That is right. You know, people are very limiting.
Way too much.
We are back. Yeah, it is. It's been happening more and more often. So
we missed out on some really good shit with this guy talking about people, you know, what we were just talking about.
Well,
let's just back up a little bit.
So let's just back up for those. I'm not sure when it cut off. I'm not sure what what happened and when it did cut off there. But basically, we were talking about Zach does a lot of networking, and I would say probably the large majority of your business is networking.
Right.
And you say you probably spend at least 5 days a week networking. And the one thing that you notice, probably the most common trait that you notice with people, is that they're very unintentional with their meetings and unintentional with their networking, correct?
Yeah, that would be, they're unintentional with their meetings, and most of them don't even know why they're there. Like, they'll come up and they may ask me for advice, or they may ask me something. I go, well, where are you going?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that leads to like how I met Chris is living your best year ever group. Mm-hmm. Is unless you know where you're going, I can tell you anything in the world, right? But unless you know where you're going, I can't help you get there.
Being intentional, right?
Right. Being intentional in everything you do is so huge. And I talk to people and they're just like, well, I don't know. What type of deals do you want to do? I don't know. Where are you investing? I don't know. And so in my world, it's a waste of my time.
Of course.
Right. Unless, and this is something I learned from somebody that I had to pay, was you need to be authentic. So if I'm there,
you learned that from who?
I had to pay a coach to be honest with me. Everyone else was just trying to, oh, it's okay, you're fine.
Ain't that some shit, guys?
Right? So I've had coaches all my life. Once I got into this for the last 7 years, but it's like some of the stuff I may tell them may be offensive, but I'm trying to wake them up to their own crap to get them pointed down the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I feel that I have an obligation to help them, and they may not want to hear it. However, they need to hear it, or
they
they're
have to hear
they're
it.
going to keep wasting their time going down, a sailboat without a rudder, right? So, just trying to get people focused is the big thing.
And one, you just said sometimes you have to say these things. Sometimes you have to be very blunt. So we got our boy Edward Pugh in the house here. He's from Kingdom.
Yeah.
And we, I talked about how I spoke at the Kingdom Connect. Now, the first time that I spoke at the Kingdom Connect was back in November because they were having it here in Scottsdale. I had my whole speech planned out, bro. But for a day and a half, I kept on hearing these motherfuckers make excuse after excuse after excuse. Not the speakers, but the audience, because they didn't know who I was, and I was just kind of sitting in the background pretending to be one of them too. So I'm just hearing them. No. Eventually, I got up on stage, and I'm like, man, all you motherfuckers are straight fucking full of shit. Like, all you guys are full of shit. And I went on a fucking 30-minute rampage about why you all full of shit and why you guys don't have what you want because you're full of shit. At the end of the event, a lot of people came up to me and the guy who hosted the event and said, dude, I'm really, really thankful that you got this guy on there because he made me realize that I'm full of shit.
Right.
Sometimes you need to. I tell this shit to my students all the time. I'm not going to tell you what the fuck you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. And sometimes you need a goddamn smack upside the head to make you realize that you're fucking full of shit and wasting my time and your time.
That's true.
people are networking. People are wasting their time in networking. They're not really being intentional with networking. So we talked about not being intentional in meetings, which is somebody who comes to the meeting and doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, right? And we got Sonia Ray who's saying the truth will set you free. Yeah, but first it's gonna piss you the fuck off. That's the second part that nobody tells you.
When my coach told me we were on a phone call and he had me read these books, we meet up, read these books, call, and he told me, he goes, Zach, you need to quit blaming others and take responsibility for your life. You're at where you're at because of you and no one else. And I was paying the guy money, so I just sat there and I took it. But my initial like human response was to yell at him. Yeah, to yell. But I took it in and I just let it settle. And it was like the scariest moment of my life. And then the next, after I realized that, I go, well, if I'm responsible, that means that I can also change it.
Yep.
I don't have to wait for nobody.
Right.
Because I was always waiting around for that opportunity to come. And so after that, I was like, well, I'm just going to go do it. Like someone tells me no, keep moving on. So. And
that's probably one of the things that stops people the most. What if they tell me no? What if they tell me no? And I always revert back to dating. Like as a guy, if you ever want to get laid in your life, you need to talk to a girl, and more than guaranteed, you're going to be told no. Like that's just part of being a man. That's just part of being a human. That's part of being an entrepreneur. That's part of being a real estate investor. You are going to get told no a lot of the times. That's just the way that it is.
But it's the meaning that you put behind the no.
Exactly.
That is disempowering.
Exactly.
Right.
So my cousin always said, he used to tell me the story about this friend that he had growing up who was this fat, short, ugly motherfucker. But this guy was always with a good-looking girl.
Yeah.
So he was like, how do you do this, man? And he's like, I just talk to women. So one day they went out to the club, and this little short guy, and he's like, all right, well, fuck, show me what you do, right? This motherfucker literally went from one to the other, talking to every hot girl until one day said yes. Like, until somebody said fucking yes. Like, that was it. The no's didn't bother him that much.
Yeah.
And this is why a lot of times if you're a smart, educated person, being in sales, being in real estate doesn't really align with you off the bat, because logically you overthink everything. And I always say, like, the guys like that guy who don't overthink it. Hey, you want to go out with me? No, go fuck yourself. All right, cool, thank you. Hey, you want to go with me? Oh, fuck it. You want to go with me? Up? Eventually, he gets to that point. The smart guys sit there, they see the girl they want, they think about it for 2 fucking hours. What am I going to say? Shit. What if she says no?
2 years.
Maybe, yeah. By the time they fucking finally grow the nuts to talk to her, she's already gone.
That used to be me.
So let's talk about that. I wanted to get back here.
From that.
I wanted to get back here. So tell me about how you met your girl and how you locked that deal up.
That's why she's not here today. No, I was in Puerto Rico. I like to travel. I like to travel by myself. So I just went down there and I like getting a car and just going.
Mm-hmm.
And so
that's like my type of traveling.
Yeah, and you just go on a backpack. And I was sitting down there. I was like, hey, it'd be cool to hang with a woman tonight. And so I opened up a dating app and I just started chatting people up. And next thing you know, next night we're on a date, and we spent the last 2 days together. She was awesome. I flew back here and I just stayed in touch with her. And she came and visited, went back, and then Hurricane Maria came and she lost everything, like everything. And I have a fear of commitment. And she's like, well, I'm looking to go somewhere because it's not habitable down here. And I'm like, where are you going?
Like, shit, you're going to my place.
And
I'll help you look for a place, baby.
She's like,
I got a studio.
So. Paris, Pennsylvania, and I'm like, well, why don't you come here for 2 weeks and just hang out?
Yeah, she fucking bait and switch her ass, motherfucker. She's like,
so no, I know.
Not several years later.
No, so I said, why don't you come here for 2 weeks? And it was cool, like, because my fear around dating somebody, because all my past experiences and what I saw was they try to change you. I'm like, no one's gonna tell me what to do. Like, and she just let me be me.
Wow.
And to this day, she just like lets me be me and supports me whatever I do. And she never. So I said, hey, she started telling me how bad it was down there. I said, why don't you just stay? And then, I proposed to her in December.
See, guys, you never know what the fuck you're going to get on Flipping Fridays. You might get a funny story. You might hear me cuss a motherfucker out. You might hear somebody whoop out a poem, or you might hear some fucking fairy tale love story over here. So as I said, Sonia was saying the truth will set you free. But as I said, at first it will piss you off. We got Tyler Moore in the watch party. We got William Bonnell joining us. We got Seeley saying, hey, guys. Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you for joining us. And if you're in the watch party, you have any questions, because we're about to get into the topic, make sure that you ask. And we're going to be talking about how to turn any deal or any lead into a deal. But before we get into that here, we got Ed Pugh, who says, yes, I'm responsible. If I'm responsible, I can change it. And that is the number one thing about personal development, is that everything is your fault. Good, bad, or indifferent. Every person that treated you like shit before you met your woman, every ex-girlfriend that treated you like shit, that was your fault. Right. You were being able to track this woman and being able to do whatever you guys did and wherever, convince her to come over here, whatever the fuck you did. That was your fault. Like you created all this stuff behind you, and you are responsible and you can change it. Let me see. We got Josh Cash who says, I went to an event because it was raining and cold. Such bullshit. It is. You guys, if my mom, and I've said this over and over again, el que busca encuentra. If you seek it, you will find it. If you look for it hard enough, if you really want it hard enough, you will find it. We got Shane. Before Shane Cook, we got Sonia over here who says, give up your power when you don't accept responsibility. That is correct. True. Because you're basically saying everything happens out of my control. I'm not sure. And that, that applies to dating life. That applies to married life. That applies to business life. When you said, hey, I don't want this life anymore. Hey, I want to move into business. Instead of beating your head against the fucking wall like most people would do, this is my idea. I'm going to make it work because I'm going to make it work. You said, nah, those guys over there seem to be having an easier time. Let me go see what they're doing over there. Right? When you give up your power, that you're responsible for everything that happened to you, you give up. You give up your power when you don't accept responsibility. We got Shane Cook over here who says, if we can turn each situation where you may want to blame others into an opportunity to learn from how you're responsible for the outcome. Taking responsibility is a completely different perspective than most people's take. Mm-hmm. And that is true. Yeah, most people we live in a world of fucking victims. Fucking victims. Which is why you had that dumbass fucking actor pay his buddies to supposedly kick his ass for being black and gay. I don't even know that fucking idiot's name. But this is a true story. Some guy fucking paid his fucking buddies to kick his ass because he's black and gay because he wanted more attention. And he thought that the best way to get that attention was to become a fucking victim.
Now he gets to go to jail.
Now he gets to go to fucking jail for filing false fucking hate crimes and shit. Nonetheless, though, that is, most people are used to being the victim. Everybody, it's so much easier to say, and I've always used this example, and mainly because I'm a man, but if you meet a girl, she's got fucking 5 kids by 5 different guys, and they're all fucking deadbeats. And everybody says, oh, poor you. Nobody says, hey, why don't you continue opening up your legs to deadbeats and keep on having fucking kids? I mean, you've been married to this guy fucking 30 years, and he beats you like a fucking piñata. Don't you think you should have left after year 1? Nobody ever does that. They like going towards the victim. Right. And when you take responsibility, as that's what Shane was saying, it's a different perspective because people are not used to that. And it's easier. So you decided that you wanted to take that responsibility yourself. We got, who's this? Maxie's Plantain who's saying, what's up, Zach? I'm assuming
that's Moises. What's up, buddy?
Moises.
Hey, we got a couple more people. We got Corey Thompson, guys. Next week, in the house. I don't know if he's planning on anything this week. Corey, if you are, let us know. But he's going to be on the Real Estate Disruptors next week. He's going to be in town. Mm-hmm. So hit us up, Corey. We definitely want to hang out.
Yeah, man. Let us know. We'll hang out.
And then we got Sterling. We got the man Sterling Anderson. Dude, we got to get you on the show. And then our main man, Guillermo Serafin, episode 60.
Well, Sterling said whenever I cut you guys on live, his wife says, shit, that must be VP cousin. Fuck yeah, it is. And motherfucker, I'm still waiting on my goddamn
invitation. Dude, where are those invitations, man?
I think
they got lost. They got lost in the mail.
Wife got her hair all done. She got her fucking makeup all done. You're all fucking looking like Superman carrying her shit, but I still haven't got my wedding invitation.
I know. It's lost in the mail, I'm sure. But hey, when we get out there, we're going to interview you, man, because the people need to hear the Sterling Anderson
we'll get you on the show here soon. So let's get into the actual topic today. We're talking about how to turn any lead into a deal. And most people get into the business strictly by wholesaling, which is basically what you were doing with this guy. You were bird dogging, but if you would have known what you were doing, you would have just wholesaled them the deal.
Right.
It's the exact same thing. You're finding a deal, and you're finding a buyer who actually wants to buy it.
Right.
Now, the majority of the time, and we have a very generic, a very generic formula for wholesaling. So most flippers would want to buy a property, and I know this doesn't apply here in Phoenix, but just in general, most flippers would want to buy a property 75% of ARV minus repairs. Okay. So give a 25% discount minus repairs. That's your average flipper out there across the nation. That's the formula that they go by. If you're a wholesaler, then you're supposed to get it even less than that for you to make money. That means that if somebody on there, if somebody doesn't have enough equity on there, if somebody doesn't want to go to those prices, if somebody's a little bit more concerned about their prices, then that basically means that deal is dead for that wholesaler.
Mm-hmm. They just move on to the next one.
You have found a way to be able to leverage different strategies to buy properties. Correct. Different strategies to be able to wholesale properties, different strategies to be able to fix and flip properties, different strategies to be able to turn, as we talked about on the title here, how to turn any lead into an actual deal. So why don't you give us some of the examples of some of the ways that you've had. So let's start with wholesaling right now, because the majority of the people understand wholesaling. They understand that concept.
Okay.
You get a property in the contract, you lock it up, and you wholesale it to somebody else. You assign it to somebody else.
Okay.
Most wholesalers are running into the problem where sellers want too much for their property. Okay. Their numbers are either not realistic or their offer is coming in below what the seller owes on a mortgage. I'm assuming you've run into deals like that. How have you turned those quote unquote dead leads into actual deals?
So first off, it's you got to understand how we acquire our leads. Right? We door knock. That's our main focus is we're door knocking. So we're straight with the seller. If you're talking to another wholesaler, this concept, is going to be challenging because they're probably just looking to turn it. Mm-hmm. So you got to be direct with the seller, and then you got to listen to them, right? Because they'll tell you everything they want. Like that deal I was shared with you. Mm-hmm. I spent 4 hours with her, and she was telling me, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do this, and I just listened to her needs, and I look at how much the property's worth. I look at how much they owe. I look at what they want, because not everybody wants money. Some people just want out of the problem. Right? So you got to really listen to them. I look at what it could rent for. I look at what it could Airbnb for. I look at if I could sell it contract for deed. So I look at take all these exit strategies, and I look at them to see what would be the best for that property. So that's when I have all these door knockers out there, and they say, well, who should I talk to? And I said, anybody that's willing to sell their house. Or not even that. They don't even need to sell. Anyone that's in a distressed situation. Because I found unless there's a timeline, it's harder to negotiate because most people won't do anything, given the thing. So then let's look at a house that we just went to. That I now have as an Airbnb. Mm-hmm. It was one of my people that were knocking doors, went and talked to them.
So initially, before you turned it into an Airbnb, it was supposed to be a wholesale deal.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We're just going out there to knock doors. Okay. And then we don't have any intention of wholesaling, fix and flip, or whatever. I say just go talk to people, and then we can turn it into a deal, potentially, right?
Okay.
So we went there, we knocked on the door, and the person's like, yeah, I would love your help. And I think that what really separates us against a lot of the people that are knocking doors is we're legitimately there to provide value and help the person answering that lives there. I've helped people save houses and never made a dime, if that's their intent, if they want to and they have the resources. So we go through a list, and then in that list, we're building credibility. Everything's about building credibility. And the reality is most people aren't going to have the financial resources to save it, but we've spent a lot of time with them and built up a rapport. And then we said, okay, are you interested in maybe doing seller financing? And he said, tell me more about that. Mm-hmm. So the house had no equity in it because and it had a first position worth like.
Hold on real quick before you move into it.
Okay.
So for you guys that don't know what seller financing is, it's just like what it sounds. When the seller decides to finance you the property. So they either own it free and clear, or they own a little bit of money or owe a little bit of money onto it, and they're basically willing to become the bank for you, right?
Right.
At some point. So anyway, continue your story.
So I talked to him about that, and he was interested, and I explained to him the different types that we could do, and I really like subject to, or so subject to is where the mortgage stays in the seller's name and the property transfers ownership to my business name, and then I make their payment for them. And essentially what that allows me to do is get long-term financing at low interest. So now that I have long-term financing at low interest, I can do anything I want with it. I can fix and flip it and sell it. I can rent it. I can Airbnb it. It opens up the door for almost anything I want to do. Most people use short-term, high-interest loans, which limits the exit strategy, right?
Yeah.
So
You have to sell it.
Right. The only option is sell it.
Yep.
So I like using long-term, low-interest loans, and the only way I can get those, I just had a loan at 2.5%, right? So this one particular house is at like 3.25%. I probably have about $20,000 worth of equity, but by the time you sell it with all the fees, there's no equity in it, right? So what I said is, let me bring you current, which I think it was about $10,000, and then I gave him some money to move to a new apartment. I paid for his movers. I helped him, and now I have a house that my mortgage payment with property taxes, insurance, everything is like $1,250 a month, and I'm renting it out for about $4,000 a month in Airbnb.
Nice.
Right. And all I did was paint it. And went on OfferUp. I got a $300 couch, $300 TV, 4 $300 beds. The beds are all brand new, mattresses, stuff like that, and some miscellaneous other stuff. And it's a cash cow.
So it went from not being a deal because there wasn't any equity in there. You talked to the seller. Eventually, they decided to do seller financing, which in this case was really more of a subject to deal.
Right.
Which you took over their existing loan that they had on the property because they had such a great interest rate, which I believe you said it was like 3% or something like that. Yeah. Very, 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 very low interest rate, very low payments. So you said, hey, instead of me being just turning it on wholesaling it, I'll take over the payments. Mr. Seller or Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you don't have to worry about this fucking up your credit. You don't have to worry about missing payments. I'll handle taking over the payments. And you decided to paint it, put some furniture in there, and Airbnb it.
Right.
Got a couple questions on that. First, Josh wants to know is if they're behind on payments, do you pay that out of your own pocket?
In this case, I raise it from an investor.
Okay.
But yeah.
Beautiful. And then Sonia wants to know, whom did you have write your contract to cover your ass for the subject to?
I do my own contracts.
Okay.
So this is very important. If you don't understand subject to, you can get your butt in trouble.
Yeah.
Right.
She talks about Grant Kemp. We just interviewed him a few weeks ago, and he's rolling out a whole product that is white label for every state. And
Subject to.
because he was just talking about how people make so many mistakes.
So you got, first off, you have to have a title company that understands it, right? And you have to understand it's once you understand it, it's like anything, it's simple.
Yeah.
But and then you also, there's instances where in some states like Arizona, I can't find a place that'll do subject to on FHA loans. I get VA and conventional and everything else. So on FHA loans, what I do is I do a lease with an option to buy. And then I get all the paper to transfer done on huge because we've had to track somebody down in Mexico before on a lease option.
They might die.
Right.
So they might die. You never know they're going to
I'll do a 30-year lease with a 30-year option to buy. And that what it does is it allows me to control the property. I don't care about ownership. If I'm cash flowing, I don't care about ownership. I'm looking at control. So lease option allows me to control it. And then over the 30 years, that house is going to, the mortgage, the idea that it should be paid down to zero. And I can exercise the option or whatever. We were just looking at one that was a beautiful deal, except for $120,000 federal tax lien.
120.
So
let's talk about that.
The tax lien, I was talking to my title. This is why it's super important to have a good title. I was talking to my title rep, and she says, well, tax liens after a certain amount of time, they're 10 years, they may not be valid. And she says consult an attorney and all that. So I started looking into it, I'm like, well, if I can just control the property,
Mm-hmm.
the tax lien doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And the mortgage payment was, again, $1,400. It was right here in Scottsdale, right down the road in Phoenix. So it could have easily Airbnb'd for $4,000 to $5,000 a month.
Nice. So we got on the watch party, we got Ty Sherwood saying, "What's up, brothers? Make it rain." We got Celie Levine saying that's a great deal. We got Damien Atencio saying beast. Yes, what's up? We got Ty Sherwood saying, "Wow, sounds good for foreclosures with tight equity." And that's what I'm talking about. If you just have the one strategy where I need to buy it at this discounted rate and my only extra strategy is wholesaling it to an investor, a flipper, you're very limited as to what you can do.
Right.
Where you were talking about how you just walked in there, you created the relationships with them. And then from there, you were able to find out what they wanted. And then we were able to offer them different solutions as opposed to just the one, give it to me. And we got Johnny Sanchez over here who says, building reports with seller. I struggle with that, but it's the most important part as a wholesaler. I've gotten better. And you have to, guys, I say this shit all the fucking time. This is just a people business. There's nothing more about it. Whether you're a wholesaler, whether you're a flipper, whether you're a multifamily guy, if you're fucking raising money, whatever, it's just a people business. You just gotta fucking talk to people and learn how to deal with basic human communications. Just like you don't give a shit what they gotta say, they don't give a shit what you gotta say.
Can I say something to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say if you want to build rapport, the first step, and I had to learn this, is actually care.
You have to actually.
You got to actually care about them. Like this lady yesterday I was talking to, she goes, "I realize you're just here to make some money." And I said, "No." She was a very strong woman, like very dominant. I go, "No, I'm here to solve your problem. And if I can help you solve your problem, I'll make money."
Yep.
Right. So, and then she goes, "Everyone else," she's turned so many people away. And my team's very good at like getting through the crap, And she said, "I've turned so many people away because they just come down here. They don't care about me. They don't care about their property. They just start ramming offers down my head."
Yep.
Right. And "I'll give you 130. I'll give you 140. And she's like, her quote was, "I'll let the motherfucker burn before I give it away," because they just didn't make her feel valued as a human being.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying, guys. Basic human communication.
Right.
When you understand that and you understand that we're all just human and nobody gives a shit about you anyway, you have to change that. You have to go in there and actually give a shit. That's what made everything possible when I was wholesaling, all the times that I was door knocking. I can convey to people that I actually give a shit, that I actually care about what happened. And there's been multiple times, just like you, where I did a deal where I didn't make any money, but I was able to help the person out. And that's because I said I was going to do that.
And man, if you're having a hard time with getting that, you might bring a woman with you. Women,
totally. All my door knockers are women.
They have more empathy than guys do right off the bat, and so that might be the.
I tried doing that, man. When I was when I was first working, I don't know if you know this, but John and Paul, I was like one of their silent partners initially when we first started, and before they even created the system, it was us three of them were doing door knocking. So I said, dude, I want to build my whole team full of fucking women. Like, I want to build a nothing but women door knocking team because A, they're more compassionate. B, pretty much everybody, men, women, old people, kids would rather deal with women anyway. They feel less threatened, whatever. Man, I couldn't find women that were down for door knocking. Like, it is such as a man, you're used to being told no all the fucking time. As a woman, it doesn't come as often, especially if you're a pretty woman. Then it rarely comes ever. If you're a cute little fucking kid, man, especially if you're a cute little girl, like you're gonna get away with every fucking thing before it even turns sexual. And then once you turn into an age where you're developing your body and you're a good-looking woman, then fuck everybody gives you fucking everything. In my experience, it was very hard to get women to actually stick with the door knocking part of it. They wanted more security. They wanted more behind the scenes stuff. It was like fear of rejection because they didn't really know how to take rejection. But I've always agreed with the fact that if I could find a handful of women that would be down to door knock, like we would be kicking ass left and right.
I have 10 women that are.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what
I'm working with your one group. They're selling me a wholesale deal this week, and I tell you what, they have way more patience than I would have had. Like the shit they're doing for this lady, who's like a hoarder,
right?
And oh my god,
I got no patience with that shit, and that's why when I was fixing and flipping, I didn't want to deal. I just buy from wholesalers because I didn't want to deal with the bullshit. I didn't want to deal with the fucking emotions. We got Ty Sherwood over here who says they don't care what you know until they know that you care, and that is true. People don't, like I said, guys. People don't give a shit about you. They got their own problems. They got their own shit to worry about. They got their own stuff, their own medical issues, their own bills, their own stuff to pay. They don't give a shit about you until you know that you give a shit about them. And that's something that Ty here was saying. We got Isaiah Lee. We got Mark Holders joining us here in the watch party. We got Ty Sherwood says women door knockers. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. We got Celio here who says, I show them my tattoo, game over. You don't know Celia is this crazy firecracker of a granny who just got a tramp stamp fucking 3 months ago. Awesome. So she's like literally walking around, pulling her pants down, showing everybody her tramp stamp. It's fucking funny.
Looking good.
We got Sonia asking, or saying that was a huge nugget referring to when you talked about doing the lease option.
Right.
And I actually, that's the way that I did it. My subject to deal, and I always say subject to, but in reality, it wasn't subject to because I haven't really took over the payments. But I did a lease option with an option to buy. I did a 10-year lease option. So right now I'm just renting it. I'm about to get rid of this motherfucker, and I'm about to sell it to somebody because
I bet he might have a buyer for you because
I'll let you know.
Wants to offer creativity.
I'll put it out there to the AZ Flip Guy community. But if you have a buyer, let me know. Basically, this property, the payments are $720 a month. I'm currently renting it for $1,100. I already told the renters that I'm going to raise it to $1,300 by when we renew the lease here in a few months. Excuse me. So you're cash flowing $580 or some shit like that after everything is paid off. That is net because the interest, the insurance, and everything else is covered in the actual payment on the $720. So anyway, I'm offering that. You can take over the note that I have, the lease option, and you can buy that shit for $55,000. If you're interested, let me know.
Here, I have another strategy, or same strategy, but different exit strategy.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I bought the property. They had no equity in it, and these people they were on time payments, but they didn't want to write a check at closing.
Okay.
So they were pissed off at realtors. I said, okay, I'll buy it subject to. I didn't give them any money. All right. And then what I did is I bought it subject to, and I sold it seller financing. Mm-hmm. So when you sell it, I bought it at like 3.5% interest, and then I increased the price because when you sell it seller financing, you can increase the price. Mm-hmm. And then I sold it at a 7% interest rate. So I got money up front and then monthly cash flow.
Now, how do you protect them in the back end?
In what regard?
How do you make sure are you out of the deal or does
no? So
they pay you pay them.
I did a contract for deed, so the deed is still in my name, mm-hmm. and I got an attorney to write. So we have an agreement with the buyer, bought it from me on contract for deed, so the deed still stays in my name. I make the payments over here.
Beautiful,
because it's still my reputation. Mm-hmm. That they sold it to me, not them. So if they don't make the payments to me, I got to come out of my pocket.
Of course.
But I got enough down that it didn't matter.
That'd be a great way for you to be able to do that as well.
And that's the great thing about when you're able to lock up a property in a creative way, you have so many more different options.
Right.
I was at a point where I have about $65,000 that is owed to me that is just out there in litigation and waiting on stupid shit. I needed some fucking money right now. So guess what? I fucking used my thing that I locked up 3-4 years ago, and I used it as a fucking piggy bank. I took out some money right now, and then I'm gonna turn around and sell it to somebody, and who gives a shit, right? Whichever way it works for you. And when you're able to create those scenarios and create a seller finance, a seller or something along those lines where you get creative, now you have many different exit strategies.
That's what's so key about just getting into the business, you know what I mean? Because once you have a couple deals going, now you have options. You know, there's several different ways that you can do a real estate deal.
So we got Sonia asking who's your title. If you want to give it away, if not, you can. Who gives a shit? You know what? We got Celia who was saying the Chicago title will do that, and I've said many times, it's not the title company, it's the title agent.
Right.
You can go to the same title company and be surrounded by fucking idiots, and there's only one person that knows what they're doing, and you only want to deal with that one person. Right. We got Manuel Arellano who's tagging his friend. And guys, as I said, We don't sell anything. We don't pitch anything. So if you find this valuable, make sure that you share this on your page. Make sure that you share this on a group that you're involved with. Make sure that you tag your friends that might find this valuable to say, hey, dude, check this out. This is what the fuck they're talking about. We got Josh Castro who's saying, bam. We got Josh Castro who's saying, I apologize. What's your guest name? We got Chris actually tagged Zach over here. So for any of you guys that want to reach out to him, send them a message, whatever the case might be, connect with him online. We got Sonia Ray who says, I know two who do it. Yep, I know two who do it over there. You and Short Stack.
Two people you wouldn't mind someone knocking on your door.
No, no, not at all, actually. No, not at all. And I'm hoping Short Stack knocks on my door. That's a different story. Anyway, I did not say that. Looking good. We got Masoro saying we're looking good, gentlemen. We got Daniel saying I tuned in late and missed it. I have no idea what lease options are. So basically, Daniel, for you guys that don't know what a lease option is, it's an option. So you're leasing a property with an option to buy it. What I did in my case is this particular person, she had about $10,000-$20,000 worth of equity at that time. It wasn't enough for her to sell it, so basically no equity. She was going to buy a property. Her job was moving her to a different state. She was going to buy a property at that state, and she just didn't want the bad shit going on here. She didn't want rented out herself and dealt with people not, messing up her property and not paying the payment and that type of stuff. So I came in and I said, I'm willing to do a lease option. I'm willing to pay you rent based on what your current mortgage payment is. And then I have the option to buy this property at the end of 10 years at this price that we agreed to today, which was basically what she owed at that time. So I said, I'll buy it at that point, knowing damn well that in 10 years the property will raise, especially in a market like Phoenix. So if you guys don't know what a lease option is, that's what a lease option is, where you're signing a lease just like you would as a rental, but you also have the option to buy that property at a certain amount of price and a certain amount of time. That's basically what that is.
So can I
go ahead?
That? So it's all this. It's super important that you understand the paperwork and or have a title company that understands the paperwork. Because on my first subject too, I had to go back to the original seller, and because the first title company didn't get all the paperwork done correctly.
Oof,
and
not a good conversation,
right? Thankfully, everyone I work with, I still stay in contact with them because I treat them with respect. So she was like, yeah, no problem. She went and signed it, right? So whenever you're working, if you choose to do one of these, make sure you understand the paperwork. Same thing with lease options. Imagine doing a 10-year lease, or I've done 30-year leases. Options.
I like that idea a whole lot better than the fucking 10-year lease. I thought I signed a good deal with a 10-year lease, not 30 years. Now it sounds like shit next to a 30-year lease.
So, but on a 30-year lease, imagine trying to find that person in 30 years to get them to sign the proper paperwork. So what we do is we have them.
You might not be around in 30 years.
I may not be around.
Who knows?
So we have it. We have it all done up front, and then it sits in a third-party escrow or the note, wherever we have the note. So that way, when I fulfill the obligation of the paperwork of the agreement that we had, it just transfers title right there. And I don't have to chase anybody down.
Nice. So Josh Castro's over here. Let Zach know that I need his help on a subject too. The information will be in his messenger after the show. There we go, guys.
Cool.
And this is all part of the AZ Flip, guys. If you guys are, once again, if you guys are watching a replay, if you guys are watching us on YouTube, if you guys are hearing us on Podcast Land, this is the benefit of being live on the AZ Flip, guys. Not only did you get to ask questions, but you get to network. We got a potential deal going on just based on the fucking comments of somebody who's watching us and said, hey, man, I like what he does. That might be beneficial for me. So fuck, our guest might even get a deal just by being on our fucking show. You never know. And I want a commission.
Is there a commission?
I want a commission on that. Yeah, it says steak dinner, by the way. Ask Lisa and Daniel. I don't forget about that shit. We got Corey Schwartz over here joining us in the watch party saying good stuff. We got Daniel who's saying thanks for the education on lease options. We appreciate it. He said, I went to Chicago Title and asked if they did back-to-back closes, and the agent told me that she didn't want my business and referred my email to their legal department.
Yeah, it is the rep for sure, but some title companies don't want to deal with that. Chicago is one of them. I haven't had good success with them.
I know there's
Who's your title rep?
So I have I have a title rep at Magnus Title, I have a title rep at American Title, and I have another one that I forget the name.
So reach out to Zach if you want to know who exactly he's working with, because there's lots of different people. So we have a good title company that we use, but in a certain situation on our first deal,
Right.
they were screwing everything up, man. So we switched that.
Diana Jackman used to work with Chicago. We used to do that shit all the fucking time.
Yeah, I don't think
so.
She's there anymore.
It's not freak. Well, she moved up, man.
Yeah.
But it's not because it's not the title company; it's the title agent.
That's true. They are Chicago title.
Yeah.
I don't know what the issue is.
It's not the title company; it's the title agent. And when it's just like dealing with realtors. It's saying like, "Oh, Century 21's got good realtors." Motherfucker, that don't mean shit.
Yeah.
Like where you hang your license don't mean shit.
It's
the actual agent themselves. Yeah, it's the person doing it, and that's why I like the question that Sonia was asking, which is who's your title agent. Because when you are out there looking to do something, my mentor tells me all the time, the easiest way to walk across a minefield is to follow the footsteps of somebody who has successfully made it to the other side. Somebody who's already made it there, somebody who's already made it across. And that is a title agent that knows. There's a lot of real estate agents and title agents that say, you can't wholesale a property, you can't assign a property,
That's
you can't
illegal.
double close, that's illegal.
Right.
Fuck you, next, let me go find somebody. And that's the great thing about real estate is, and particularly in this particular case that we're talking about it, you can basically make up doors as you go. So if there's wholesaling didn't work, all right, well, let me try this way. Let me try that way. Let me try this way. It's very creative in that sense.
Right.
As long as you stay within the rules and everything that you're doing is legal and ethical, it doesn't matter. All options are on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Your sellers, when they do a seller financing, all options are on the table.
All of them.
They're you took over a payment that was 3.5%. Let's say that they were a little bit more savvy and said, hey, Zach, my payment's 3.5%. I want you to make a 5% payment. You probably would have still done it because that's still a great fucking deal.
It's a number. It's all about the numbers.
Of course.
It's all about the numbers.
But what I'm trying to say is that you weren't obligated to, I have to take over their payments based on exactly what their payments are. No, it's whatever the fuck they want if it works for you.
We get if you can think of it, conceptualize it, you can probably create it out there. You just got to make sure you have the right attorneys, the right accountants, and the right team to bring it into reality.
Now, one last thing I want to talk about before we get off is I was intrigued by it. You said that you've done subject to seller financings in order to do flips.
Right.
How does that work?
Same. So the acquisition is always the same, but because I have long-term money and at low interest rate, my exit strategies now it opens it up to every exit strategy. But on a flip, you just I've just either do the lease option. I still do the long-term lease with the long-term option just in case something happens. But the back end is just selling it.
Now, do you need to double close though, or is there any seasoning issues?
I've never had any.
Beautiful.
So
you do a seller finance, you do a lease option in order to flip it, or
I'll do a subject to purchase if it's not an FHA.
Okay.
If it's an FHA, I do the lease and the option, and I just go in there like any other transaction, fix it up, and then sell it. So essentially, my cost of money is whatever, right?
So you don't have to come in with the down payment for the hard money loan. Your interest rate is going to be a lot lower on your actual monthly payment. And then the only thing that you have to come in with is the rehab money, which you can probably get from an investor.
Right. So the thing about flipping a subject to and or lease option is normally they're going to have a lot more equity in them. Well, let's hope if you're doing it right. So the idea is you're probably going to have to come up with some cash to give them. Like we got a house for $175,000. We have it on the market right now for $389,000.
Damn.
We gave her $25,000. We brought her current $25,000. And then we put about 50 into it, right? So that was a great deal. I mean, it's a 4,000 square foot home, so it was carpet and paint and trim, doors, minor stuff. But I wanted, given it's going to be an $80,000 profit for us ish. I wanted to give her some money, right? So we gave her $25,000. We find her a place to stay. And we helped her move, paid for her moving.
And once again, you could do whatever the fuck you want.
You do whatever you want.
It makes sense.
Right.
As long as it makes sense. We got Casey freaking K, my best friend, joining us. Hey. We got John Castro who said he said Casey at DL, so Casey said he's on it. We got Celie Levine saying Chicago Title closes land trust in AZ, but they call it something else. Be right back. I'll get you a name. Perfect. So as you can throw the name on there, and for anybody who finds that beneficial, then we'll, make sure that you reach out to Sealy. And guys, once again, this is the amazing part about joining us live with the AZ Flip, guys. If you're watching us live on the show, if you're watching us on one of our watch parties, I know Chris is holding a watch party, I'm holding a watch party here. It's a great way to interact. It's a great way to share and connect with each other. And if you guys happen to be catching us on a replay and you have a question for Zach, you have a question for CashFlow Kris, you have a question for myself, leave it on the comments. And if you guys are listening to us in podcast land, make sure that you download this episode, make sure that you share it with your friends, make sure that you give us a 5-star review, and make sure that you join us live every single Friday at noon Arizona time, facebook.com/AZ Flip, guys, where you can actually join the conversation. So, man, I have had an amazing time. Let me see, we got Nadine here. I like holding our sub-twos for Airbnbs. Yep, I know that Nadine is over in South Carolina, North Carolina.
I think North.
Yeah, and she does a lot of Airbnbs, and she obviously likes doing the sub-twos. And one of the things that we focus a lot in the group that I've mentioned a few times, the Kingdom Real Estate, is a lot of creative financing, a lot of seller financing, a lot of just thinking outside of the box. Just thinking outside of the box. And when you think outside of the box, guys, your possibilities are endless. And I tell people all the time that this world, especially the one that we live in as an entrepreneurial world, this shit's all fucking made up. This is all made up. We make this shit up left and right. Every single one of us makes this shit up. And it's great because as long as you stay within the boundaries, as long as you keep it legal, as long as you keep it ethical, anything is a possibility. If I say, hey, man, I need you to sell me that house. I need you to do this. I want this interest rate. I want to pay you this. I'm going to pay you back with the fucking boat. And then, by the way, I want you to do X, Y, Z. And you agree to it, then that's what it is. That's what it is. You got your fucking friend, our dude, Elijah Rubin. He's always fucking getting people to agree to take him out to dinner or some stupid fucking Jewish.
And write a letter. They write a letter of thanking him for him making lots of money.
That's all just part of the deal.
Yeah.
And as long as they agree to it, and as long as it's legal, ethical, and moral, then you're able to do it. And that's what I love about real estate, and that's what I love about doing things creatively. So anyway, guys, Zach, how can people get a hold of you if they want to get a hold of you, if they want to follow up with you?
Facebook Messenger is the best way.
Perfect. So Chris actually tagged Zach's name on the comments for you guys that are watching us, or for you guys that are watching the replay. You can check out Zach. Make sure that you add him on Facebook, send them a Facebook Messenger. You can always connect with us on social media. That is at CashFlow Kris. Cashflow, the way that it sounds, Chris with the fucking K.
I didn't know I was gonna have to explain this
shit up,
Nobody
man.
can figure it out.
Just change your shit to Chris with the C. And
No, man. My mom will slap
you
you for that.
Just bite the bullet.
No.
Anyway, guys, and
says Brian with a Y.
Brian with the Y, bro.
And a D.
Hey, that's why my name is not at Brian. That's why my name is at Cashflow Creator. And make sure that you guys follow me at Cashflow Creator. I'm actually going to be coming up on a few different podcasts here in the very near future. I'm coming out. I was speaking at what the fuck's his name? Chris Bruce's event here in Miami 2 weeks ago. His girlfriend is actually bringing me on her podcast. I got a few people from that group that want me to be on their podcast. I got a few other podcasts lined up for CashFlow Kris and myself. So make sure that you follow us on our social media, because we'll be posting about that all the time.
We got some big guests coming up. We got Dan Zatofs. We got so many, the list is long. But guys, if you know somebody that we don't know that we need to be interviewing, hit us up. Let us know about it.
Yep. So we got Sonia Avershade says, appreciate Manuel saying good shit. Thank you. Appreciate you. We got David Plata saying, love what you do, Zach, representing from Illinois. Thank you for the shout out over there. We got Daniel saying, thank you guys. We got Josh Castro saying, good stuff. Talk to you later. So guys, we appreciate you. Once again, if you found this of value, make sure that you like, make sure that you share, make sure that you tag your friends about it. That is CashFlow Kris. I am Cashflow Creator, reminding you to flip for cash, but more and more importantly, make sure you fucking hold for wealth.